Time for lunch, Esther chapter 3. After these events, sovereign Ahasuerus promoted Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and exalted him and seated him higher than all the princes with him. And all the sovereign's servants who were in the sovereign's gate bowed and did obeisance to Haman, for so the sovereign had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or do obeisance. And the sovereign's servants who were in the sovereign's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the sovereign's command?" And it came to be, when they spoke to him daily, and he would not listen to them, that they told Haman to see whether the words of Mordecai would stand, for he had told them that he was a Yehudi. And when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or do obeisance, Haman was filled with wrath. And it was despicable in his eyes to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had informed him of the people of Mordecai. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Yehudim, who were throughout all the reign of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. In the first new moon, which is the new moon of Nisan, in the 12th year of the sovereign of Ahasuerus, someone cast pur, that is, the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from new moon to new moon, until it fell on the 12th month, which is the new moon of Adar. Haman then told sovereign Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your reign, whose laws are different from all people, and they do not do the sovereign's law. Therefore, it is not in the sovereign's interest to let them remain. If it pleases the sovereign, let a decree be written to destroy them, and let me pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work, to bring it into the sovereign's treasuries." And the sovereign took his signet ring and his hand and gave it to Haman, his signet ring from his hand, and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Yehudim. And the sovereign said to Haman, "The silver and the people are given to you, to do with them as seems good to you." And the sovereign's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first new moon, and a decree was written according to all that Haman commanded. To the viceroys of the sovereign, and to the governors who were over each province, and to the officials of all people, to every province according to its writing, and to every people in their language, it was written in the name of sovereign Ahasuerus, and sealed with the sovereign's signet ring. And the letters were sent by the runners into all the sovereign's provinces to cut off, to kill, and to destroy all the Yehudim, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, on the 13th day of the 12th new moon, which is the new moon of Adar, and to plunder their possession. A copy of the writing to be made law in every province was published for all people to be ready for that day. The runners went out, hastened by the sovereign's command, and the decree was given out in the citadel of Shushan. The sovereign of Haman then sat down to drink, and the city of Shushan was in confusion. And Mordecai learned of all that had been done, and Mordecai tore his garments and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried out in a loud and bitter cry. And he went up to the front of the sovereign's gate, for no one might enter the sovereign's gate wearing sackcloth. And in every province where the sovereign's command and decree came, there was great mourning among the Yehudim, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. And Esther's young women and eunuchs came and told her. And the sovereigness was deeply pained, and sent garments to Mordecai to wear, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he refused. And Esther called Hathach, one of the sovereign's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai, to learn what and why this was. And Hathach went out to Mordecai to an open space of the city in front of the sovereign's gate. And Mordecai told him all that befall him, and all about the silver that Haman promised to pay into the sovereign's treasury to destroy the Yehudim. And he gave him a copy of the written decree to destroy them, which was given at Shushan, to show it to Esther, and explained it to her, and to command her to go in to the sovereign to make supplication to him, and plead before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. And Esther spoke to Hathach, and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the sovereign's servants and the people of the sovereign's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the sovereign, who has not been called, he has but one law, to be put to death, except the one to whom the sovereign holds out the golden scepter. Who then shall live? But I have not been called to come in to the sovereign these 30 days. And they declared to Mordecai the words of Esther. And Mordecai commanded them to answer Esther, "Do not think within yourself to escape in the sovereign's palace any more than all the other Yehudim. For if you keep entirely silent at this time, relief and deliverance shall arise for the Yehudim from another place, while you and your father's house perish. And who knows whether you have come to the reign for such a time as this?" And Esther commanded to reply to Mordecai, "Go, gather all the Yehudim who are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I too and my young women shall fast in the same way. Then I shall go to the sovereign, which is against the law, and if I shall perish, I shall perish." Mordecai then went away, and did according to all that Esther commanded him.